Hello. Normally, we'll be doing this in the other room, but I figured this is kind of excited because of this in the back there. I'll explain what's happening, and obviously the green hat, if you can see my green hat. Mm-hmm. I'll be explaining that, and I'm thinking about 2 to 3 because it's been a phenomenal week for this 85th entry, and not only that, my 35th round of chemo. 35 rounds ever since last year. Folks, I don't know how I'm doing this. I feel like, one of those longtime veterans, those fighters that, that mean a lot of different things to me. Oh, by the way, my name's Chuck Martin from CGM3 Production, otherwise known as Charles, Chuck, Charlie, Chaz. Okay? Yeah, it's been as I look past this week, obviously this has been recorded on a Friday, and I look back on this entire week and I'm saying, once again, did I do all this? And it's been really, this has been an amazing journey for me. And I'm so glad and I'm so appreciative in many different ways. First off, to Carmen over at Optum with the exciting, the excitingness and, tell them how I'm improving every time, every bit of the way. And to a very special friend of mine up in Western New York, in Buffalo, New York. And really, she's like it's a platonic way. And Paula D'Amico, I love you. You know that. You're the best. And I'm glad we actually discussed this the other night. You see, this is all going to plan out in one way or another. I got future plans coming and, give you guys a very much of a legacy. So, um, so anyway, this has been a very, very adventurous week. Um, as you may know, I had my 35th round last week. Uh, you know, I seen so many wonderful, bright individuals that are battling their own, diseases, their own knowns of, whether it's breast cancers, something with the bone. Most of the resilient one that I got to know and got to see this far so far, and he's fighting it about every week as well. And just, it's just amazing how resilient we are and how perseverant we are. And it's just, I just can't get over it. I feel like there's going to be some emotional tears coming. Very happy tears, which is all great. I guess it's the Clash movement. You say confused, loving, anger, sadness, and happy. And thank you, Brian, for that. Brian Martin for that one as well. Um, it's just an amazing way of creating this legacy, which will be about a legend. And it's going good. So we're, increasing the dosage just a little bit because at least my fingers are kind of corresponding to it. There's no extreme neuropathy or on the feet or on the toes. The neuropathy part is really the killer, or it's really a disadvantage. And I'm handling it pretty well. I'm mobile. I'm still walking. I'm getting to see life every day. And it's just, mainly just standing up to cancer and mainly standing up to the will to live and keep it hustling, keep it going, keep it, keeping it real. And it's, how ones that you wish you have in your life, wish that they were there. I mean, I wish I could get, again, I would say this, and I said this in about a few weeks ago, if I could only give that one wish to have them in my shoes and understand the burdens of that could be. In other words, here's that cautious optimist that I am. I mean, I still think, we live life to the fullest. And how legacies mean so much. I mean, whether it's, being a parent, a grandparent, maybe a great grandparent, who knows? Yeah, we're in our, just hitting, just setting the next chapter, which is basically being, junior, senior. In other words, coming up in September, it's going to be my half birthday, September 3rd. 59 and a half. Who would go figure? That's something to celebrate. So, but in many ways I can empathize and I can elaborate and I can be, I can elaborate in this world right now that what we're all going through, and especially the ones that are fighting and being the warriors that we are, and keep fighting. You got to keep fighting because we want to see you, or they want to see you every day, either face to face, social media, YouTube, which has been my saving grace to tell you about my updates and how I'm doing and how everything is going with it. So getting back to last week, I had a good chemo regimen, and Friday obviously is really like my very extremely tiring day. So I had the mini fusion Friday afternoon. Actually, I had the take-home version, which I call 35.1, the home version. And if you think it's almost like having, you're on a game show called Life, televised, and they hand you a board game of the show. That's like really, that's the 0.1 version that you go after. So yeah, it's 35.1, and did some minor errands last week with the medical sack, the with the Mediball and the port. And some people have seen it, and I could tell by their eyes. They said, "Are you truly okay?" And I'm saying, "Yeah, I'm just, responding to my medicine, my chemo regimen, and, really knocking it outside the park." It's like, now what do we need to do? What are we supposed to be doing? I mean, I'm living life. I shouldn't stop. I shouldn't stop and say on a couch or in the bed, resting and not being tired. You see, I'm saving, because all those years in life that I worked and I did my opportunity thing, with many chapters in between, which I'm going to tell you in another video, shortcoming. It kept me active. It kept me thinking. It kept my, ability to be a part of something, but also have the precautions, like having the mask on, having having the sanitizer with me, make sure I'm cleaned, in every which way, and just making sure everything is doing okay, and just noticing if there's any nicks, cuts, with what. And thank goodness, by the good Lord up there, the heavens be, whatever you practice, whatever you do, there's only one. So I thank that every day. So on Friday was my mini treatment. Okay, it's late in the afternoon. Wasn't too bad going home, but I think there was like some traffic in between, but I'm trying to avoid, the traffic hot spots. Anyway, mini treatment went well on my 35th round, and my second infusion of iron. Now, the iron infusion, it's wonderful. I never thought I would actually get that pep, because when chemo helps the body, Okay, but there's so many mini drawbacks like the loss of blood, the loss of cells, the loss of platelets, white blood cells, red blood cells, platelets, etc., etc., etc. You get to be that anemic. So right after my mini portion, I stay there for that extra hour to get it going. And then by this time, I'm extremely tired. I'm extremely worn out. I mean, I usually get something light to eat, and drink plenty of fluids, and that's what I've been doing. I've been drinking plenty of water to keep me hydrated. So you hear that, Carmen? I've been doing that as well, but it's been drinking plenty of water. So in one way or another, it's all helping. Okay, and I'm usually out like a light on Friday, Saturday. Trying to remember what I did on Saturday, but Saturday was something, with it. But Sunday comes around, Monday, and then Tuesday was my blood work in general. I get the results back, and then Wednesday was obviously last Wednesday with Dr. Modi from the New York Cancer and Blood Center. And thank you guys. You guys are amazing. I don't know how many times I could say thank you for giving me this opportunity to be on this earth and being here right now, because you guys know what needs to be done. Weight wise, I can tell you this. I did set a couple of goals during the year, and I felt full. I felt happy. I got to eat, different, obviously kind of went out to, at the fairs. Like a couple of weeks ago, it was sausage and peppers from the Grantsville Fire Department over at the Little World's Fair. This past week was the very first to me. I could say I could cross this off my bucket list. Sorry, I had to say it. Went to the very first Dutchess County Fair. And I did not realize how huge it was, but I'm going to keep that minimal because there was a meal that I thought was so phenomenal. It was a grain bowl at one of the international places. So there was rice, black beans, corn, chicken, salsa, guacamole, and sour cream. And I had a water with it, ate it. I was knocked off and I was completely happy because I knew my body needed the nutrients. My body needed the proteins to carry on and, rocking it through the way. And I'm going to get to that in a moment because this is going to probably be something from the podcast that I'm going to be sending it over, in a few minutes. But I just want to make sure that this update gets in there. So, and weight wise, I was 162 last week. Okay. This week, could be a little bit better. Oh, by the way, special shout out to Candace. She helped me out with a little bit of the meal, like with the soup. Great chicken and rice soup, which was phenomenal. And I ate that and it was very pleasing. And it was real nice of individuals that say, we have some leftovers and gee, would you like to have it? And I'm like, sure. So again, I was weighing in 162, but I lost 5 pounds this week. So I'm at a stable 157. So I'm still there. I'm fluctuating because at least I know where I can go. Okay. Obviously, I did treat myself again. And it's one of the major fast food places that we all love. We all love their French fries. But I go back after the meat. I go with the double quarter pounder with cheese. Or double cheeseburgers, which is amazing. It's meat. Hey, what can I tell you? But I actually have fresh meat in the freezer, so I'll be making something along that. I have to get some bread and, rolls and make, a couple of hamburgers, maybe a meatloaf, which I can, but you never know. And on that note, it just hit me. I've been craving ice cream. And I got to give very much of a shout out to one of my favorite ice cream places that just recently is closing today, officially today. It's the Grahamsville Gorilla, my alma mater, Tri-Valley, and helping out, each individual, at the other end of the county. So they're shutting this today, but I could tell you this. I had the most amazing sundae. It's called the Reese's Monkey. Vanilla ice cream. I know you're going to get hungry. Believe me. Just make sure you just got to hear this. But it's vanilla ice cream with chocolate syrup or fudge, I think, and Reese's peanut butter cups crushed up and whipped cream and with the cherry on top. That was my saving grace. And I'm like, thank you for that. So the Reese's Monkey, you guys are the best. And shout out to Chip and the team for making it another amazing summer. And again, to Herman's Farms, shout out to them with the honey, the certain things that I can actually agree upon. And again, to Candace as well, because she gave me a good idea of making zucchini pizza. Now, before you say, what's zucchini pizza? She gave me a big, and I'm really big. It's a big zucchini that I got to start slicing up and I got to cook it. But I never thought about this. You slice it, to probably the thickness of a zucchini, add a little tomato sauce on top, some grated cheese, maybe, basil, whatever toppings, bake it, and you have these small little zucchini pizzas. I said, that's not a bad idea. That's a real good, healthy way of, keeping it within in the norms. So that, that's going to be a future idea. And then I'm like really craving for authentic, which I will be making, authentic homemade mushroom soup from the old country. And this is a century-old recipe that was handed down to my grandmother, my mother, of the Ukrainian way. And yes, when one say pierogi, we say varenki. Yep, varenki. And I really have to go and do this one of these days to get, when I get more things coming around, but everything's turning up. Everything's going pretty well. So it was a very wonderful week. It seems like it's improvement, but keep this in mind. And I got to really remind you all, I am not in remission yet. I'm still in that phase of stage 4, knocking on the next door. Okay. And it's just a simple reminder. Live life, live it to the fullest. Make it happen. Make your journey be wonderful. And again, having my cup of coffee, waking up, looking up, it's a win. You had a great night last night. Recharge a little bit and never give up, obviously, which I'll say at the end, but make the day to raise the bar a little bit, just a little bit more. Raise the bar a little bit more. And, do what you need to do every day. And of course, from Coach Valvano from North Carolina State University, the Wolfpack. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. Okay. Even with people who are, suffering conditions like I am doing right now, but in everyday life, never give up. Have that light. Be the light. Be that positive light to somebody else to say, I can't go on. And say, oh, yes, you can go on. Yes, you will. I don't want to hear that. Okay. And one of my favorite lines, and again, I keep reciting this, which is, it's so true this day. In fact, I watched this this amazing piece that's over 20 years old already, from Gladiator with Russell Crowe. And what we do in life echoes in eternity. And what you do in one way or another, that is your legacy, which becomes a legend and becomes a tribute. And most of all, definitely. Um, from a mentor from Buffalo State, which I completely love. And he's really, truly my mentor. He actually put this in a yearbook. It said, keep your feet on the ground, yet keep reaching for the stars. Now, since that update is over, I want to definitely do a memoriam in loving memory. This was very hard for me this week, and it kind of gotten me down. I started to well up. It hit the hardest Wednesday when we all found out we lost a beautiful soul actress, singer, philanthropist, the joys of life, her smile and her songs. In fact, one of her songs made me so emotional at an event, I started to bawl. I started to cry. And it was a healthy cry. And heavens above are looking at right now. Dolly Parton, thank you for what you've done in this beautiful world. You put a smile, you put the rainbow up there, and your amazing accomplishment. And then obviously we found out the next day, the one and only Tim Curry. It's what's going on in the world? What is really going on? I got pancreatic cancer. I got liver cancer stage 4. And then I start seeing these type of news. What am I going to do? No, I got to keep. It's very sad. Yet we live in the moment. We live in such great ways of a legacy that becomes that legend. And hint, hint, wink, wink, there's a movie called Legend back in the 80s with Tom Cruise, Tim Curry as the devil. But this, the character from Clue to Rocky Horror Picture Show to everybody mentions other movies, but has anybody really seen him in The Hunt for the Red October with Sean Connery? He played the doctor on the submarine. Check it out. I'm not kidding. Tim Curry is an amazing individual. And what he brought is so legendary status. And then obviously recently, another big thing for our childhood years, and a superb voice actor indeed, Peter Cullen. Who's Peter Cullen? If you recognize Optimus Prime in Transformers, in both the TV series, the animated movie series, and obviously the franchise, currently right now, to Dungeons and Dragons, to Voltron. Now, yes, I am a geek of the kit. This is one of those best times, on Saturday mornings, you get to eat your cereal, watch TV, and there's Voltron or Dungeons and Dragons. He played the Overlord in that. You could hear his voice, and that is legendary status. And then obviously Eeyore in the Disney universe. So it's just an amazing. Well, very sad times in the line of Hollywood, or Dollywood, as you want to say it. And it just breaks that. But never forget, always put on the music, crank up 9 to 5. And I bet there's going to be a day for Dolly Parton, 9 to 5, obviously. I think that's a good idea for that. But with, 9 to 5, many other movies that she did. Steel Magnolias is another one. And then obviously her last CD that she had a couple years ago called Rockstar. And a lot of the musicians, even they did duets like Deborah Harry, Linda Perry, many, many more of the generation that we all grew up with, where it's rock and roll or country or what have you, duets. As a matter of fact, she's probably up with Kenny Rogers right now with Islands in the Stream. Mm-hmm. Yep. So, so on that note, in one way, they found their peace. In one way, in loving memory. And, they gave us their gifts from movies, TV. As a matter of fact, they did a rendition, Dolly did a rendition with Kermit the Frog, uh, doing the Everyday People, the Sly Fox song, to, Tim Curry on The Muppets with Treasure Island. Very, very classy indeed. So, yeah, it's just a shocking week. Yet we all live, and we must carry on. And as the saying goes, the show must go on. And on that note, for the 85th entry, the 35th bye week, we're going to end this now, but I got really 2 amazing reviews, plus a big push for something. It's considering a film festival. And obviously, if you see this, so this is what my plans are going to be. So otherwise, this is Chuck Martin, also known as Charles Chuck Charlie Chaz from CGM3 Productions. Have an amazing weekend. And here's to number 36. 36 round of chemo next week. So we'll be in touch with that. So I got a lot of information. You got to hear. This is absolutely amazing what I'm doing. So, otherwise, take care, peace, love, friendship, and we will see you soon.